All right, guys, I've got 10:05, so let's get started. Appreciate everybody taking time today to go through the update on what we know, and not a lot has changed since the last meeting other than that questionnaire I sent out, and I wanted to answer questions if people had any questions about that. Beautiful day, so we'll try to get you in and out of here as quick as we can if you got any questions. I know it's been asked. There was some questions that Jessica Keaton with Ironton Lawrence Community Action submitted and to me, and I submitted them to the state. I resubmitted those, and I did talk with the state, and they're working on getting those answers. But I have not seen. I checked my emails already this morning, not gotten a response yet. One of them they were checking with legal about, so I do not have those answers. On the technical assistance grant for OVRDC, several of the 7 counties I've not heard back from you on the budget amendment. What I do want to say is we probably need to have a meeting about this, like a Zoom meeting, here soon, and talk this through in case people just need a helping hand with what I guess I'm requesting, because I've got some counties that are proceeding ahead with expenses, even though we don't have subrecipient agreements. I have a subrecipient agreement the attorney is looking at. When I get that done, when he gets it reviewed, we'll get those out to people. But I can't draw the money down from the state until I get the amendment back to them. And so some of the counties that may be proceeding forward, I'm not going to be able to reimburse you if everyone else is holding me up. So we're going to have a conversation about that. I've got a board meeting next week, so it might be the following week we try to set something up for the each county and the county leads, because we've really not totally identified who that county lead is going to be in each county that we would do the subrecipient agreement with on the 250,000. I just need to make sure we've got that. I don't even know who to provide that subrecipient agreement to yet in some of the counties. Just a reminder on the TA grants. I've had a few communities reach out to me asking if they could use TA money on construction. No, it's planning money. It cannot be used for construction. And also, if you're wanting to use it for consultants, you're going to have to show a competitive process that you went through to select that consultant. So if you picked them back in last year, as long as you can produce for OVRDC, as we're the applicant on the money, your RFQ process where you issued an RFQ, you got 5 responses, you went through a selection to pick them, that's fine. We can pay for that, or you do it now. But if you just picked a firm because you knew them 5 years ago and you continue to use them, I'm not going to be able to reimburse you for their services under the TA grant. And I think under hiring, some of you have talked about hiring people. Show if you're going to pay the person if you're going to pay who you hire out of ACGP funds, that it needs to be for work that they do related to ACGP. And there should be a competitive process that you can verify that you just didn't hire someone without a competitive process. That's pretty much it on the TA grant. Like I said, probably maybe that last week in August. Yeah, maybe we'll try to do something then. That would provide a good opportunity to just have a meeting about it. As many of you probably saw, if you've checked your email, I sent out a questionnaire yesterday. And the point of that questionnaire was to I think everybody wants to get this money, and I understand that. And I've known that all along, that everybody's going to think their project is the best. And we kind of got into this in the last call about the scoring rubric is really what's the levels the playing field. It doesn't matter who shouts the loudest. It doesn't matter who shouts the longest. It's who can score the best is who's going to get funded out of this. So what I did this for is I know that we're going to be leaned upon OVRDC, and I think the planners will be making recommendations on your behalf about these are the projects we see as best fit. But I just don't feel like I have a good assessment for myself to go in and say, to me, these are our best projects. One thing, so I'm asking you to do this for me, but you're also doing it for your project, because there's going to be an application where you have to answer these questions, or somebody's going to have to. And I feel like the best person to answer these questions is the applicant themselves, not the procured planner, not me or Ken, but you as the applicant. How are you going to sustain it? The planners will go away after this program's over, after they've designed it and finished the project. It's not theirs to own and sustain. It's yours. So you have to be able to answer these questions for us to go to bat for you on your projects. And I want that questionnaire filled out for each project you have going on that you have a planner for. So if community A has 5 projects, I want a separate questionnaire filled out for each project, not all of them thrown into one. If you just got one project, it's one questionnaire. I'm giving you 2 weeks. Again, if you look at in the directions, it says, give me 100 words or less. I am not an avid reader. So if you want to make me not like your project, write 1,000 words on an answer, okay? Be concise. It's an elevator speech. That's what we want here, is an elevator speech from you about what the project, in your mind, why it merits this funding. If you look at the rest of the scoring rubric, I think a lot of that will get filled in by how we package projects together. The first criteria is it an infrastructure, healthcare, or workforce project? We'll try to put projects together in an application that include all 3 types of projects. The number of counties, again, we'll try to marry people together to get you the points there. Did you use a procured planner? You're going to get points for that already. So these are things that you kind of don't have control over. The economic status of the counties, ARC designates that. You don't have control over what that point system is. So Ken and I looked at the scoring sheet, and these questions are ones that you have control over. These are the ones that are going to separate, in my mind, the winners and the losers for this funding, is how you answer those questions. And I certainly would like to share those answers you provide me with the planners. It might give them some insight as they're looking at their own projects about how you feel about those projects, to kind of see maybe they see something there. And I don't want you to have the planner fill this out. If you want to have them help you, yes. But as I said, on sustainability of whatever you do, you've got to figure that out. You've got to show that you're going to sustain it, not OVRDC or the procured planner. So that's why I emphasized in that you fill this out. And certainly if there's questions, Ken and I will be glad to answer questions. I think your procured planner would be willing to help you with it. But ultimately, that's why I think the community or applicant organization should be the one fills those out. And I'll stop there. Any questions on the questionnaire or any other thing really for that? I got one other thing I want to say, but I'll leave that till we kind of wrap this up.
Hey, John. Considering this questionnaire and moving forward the way OVRDC is, back to a previous question about lead applicant, does this mean that OVRDC would be less inclined to be a lead applicant?
This has no bearing on that. And I was actually asked the opposite of what you asked yesterday when I sent this. Somebody said, does this mean you're going to be a lead applicant? It's indifferent. I'm just, if you look at the rule or the guidelines, it says that, and I mentioned that in the the email I sent, that we will, LDDs, so I think GOA is going to turn to us to try to figure out how to package these projects together. So, and this doesn't mean that if I review your project and I don't think it's as transformational as another one, that it wouldn't get put in an application. If you look at what the planners just recently did, the state asked them to look at all the projects they've been assigned and list them as, this is transformational, this is potentially transformational, and this is a support project. So they were kind of 3 categories there. And I think when you look at that support or the potentially transformational, it might be that those projects are in and of themselves not that good, but if they're part of something bigger, they're gonna make that application better, if that makes sense what I'm trying to say. So this is not necessarily, I think it could, if somebody says, we don't know how we're going to sustain this, if that's your answer, then I probably am going to say this one's probably not real strong. I mean, I'm not the decision maker here, but I'm just saying, if somebody asks for my vote, that's your response on your project, I don't know how we're going to sustain it, I'm probably not going to go to bat for you. That's all I'm trying to say here. And just to answer Jessica, your question, if we were a lead applicant, yes, if I'm going to be a lead applicant, I want the application we submit to win. So at that point, if that project was part of any project like that says we don't know how we're going to sustain it, I'm probably not going to put that in an application. But I don't know that I'm going to be a lead applicant, but I still am going to be leaned upon for my thoughts about these projects in our region by GOA, I feel, based on the language they have in the guidelines. And I want to be prepared to answer and say, these are our best projects. The planners have kind of opined about that on their own, but I feel like I don't have an answer for that for myself. So yeah, I don't think it matters whether we're a lead applicant here or not, OVRDC. It's just a matter of supporting the projects.
So, John, on our worksheets that we'll turn in for you for each project, we're probably going to tie various projects that align with one another, just kind of in the verbiage we'll submit to you. That way you know at least which activities are connected to one another.
That'd be fine.
I mean, because some of ours, what we started off with were these projects that we thought might have been completely separate, but we were able to marry various projects together kind of into a project in and of itself. So,
and Devin, if you see it that way, that we want this to be, you can make that one project. I'm just saying that if you've got a workforce center project over here and a trail project, those probably need to come in separate. You know, if you can't tie them together. But if you look at it that your project's tied together, I don't mind that you do one questionnaire on it. If that's the way we're coming in for all of this.
Okay. Yeah, I'll consult with our team and see how we want to approach that for the purposes of submitting this to you.
Right.
I mean, the narrative will be there regardless in the application. So one way or another, the story's going to be told. So we might as well start here.
Right. And like I said, I want to reiterate that one of the things this does is when your project gets included in an application, the grant writer is going to have a cheat sheet here right out of the chute, because they're going to have to answer, how's this project or this application transformational? Well, here's all these projects. not, or sustainable. Here's all these answers on sustainability we got from each group. It's already pre-written. And I know GOA on the applications do not want long, lengthy answers. So I think we can take some of what you give us and put those in. You're basically helping us, the planners, whoever writes the application, to have the proper language. So we're almost writing an application by doing this. This is part of writing the application. Any other questions? I can't tell if anyone's got anything in chat. Okay, the only other thing I'll say, and I think this is just so you guys know, next steps. I have not talked to Ken about this. We talk all the time, but we just haven't talked about this. And I just saw an email. It confirmed it's what I was thinking of doing. Up in the Omega region, Eastern Ohio, they're putting together a meeting. We had that meeting in Columbus with all 4 local development districts and the planners. Omega's region is having a meeting with the planners that have been assigned just to their region. We're going to do that. That was my next. I want to get this questionnaire done, give me and Ken time to review these and have at least have a digestion of what your projects are and how you're going to sustain them, how they're evidence-based, all those questions you'll see in that questionnaire. And meet with the planners. I would say that meeting will be in September. I maybe towards the latter part. Ken, you and I'll have to talk offline here and decide like a date or some dates, and then send out like a doodle poll or something to get people to the planners to see when they can meet with us. And I think we can take our information plus what they've garnered from working with you and start coming up with some ideas for some of these projects that are, we'll look at those 7 categories I talked about last time. But again, I want to point out those are not in stone. Those might get divvied up into smaller groups. Those might get twisted and turned, and different counties get put together and we have a new name for it. I don't know. Those are a starting point, and that'll get our discussion started, and we'll go from there and see how things kind of flesh out. I think geography is important, but at the end of the day, I think geography is important, but also putting a group of projects together that makes sense with one another. That, we don't want to throw somebody into an application if it doesn't really make sense, I guess is what I'm saying. So that's our next steps. I will say September the 1st will be our next meeting for this. That is also the due date. I'll remind you the due date on the questionnaire. Email those to Ken and I. Both of our emails are in the email I sent out. And we will cancel the meeting that day, even though I'm asking you to have those into me by September 1st. I'm taking that day off. So we'll just skip the meeting that day. That'll give you that whole day if you're procrastinating to get the questionnaire finished that day instead of having this meeting. And we will just assume our next meeting on September 15th, because I don't think I can do the 8th. And that whole week of Labor Day there's busy. I'm at a conference and then I'm out the 8th for something personal. So, but that's what I've got this morning, unless you guys have any other questions. All right, hearing none. We appreciate your time. I think things are coming together. It's just, I think a lot of things have been, people maybe thought everything would come together quicker. I did too. I don't think it's too late. I do think we're gonna have till early January to get the applications in. That doesn't mean we got time to sit on our laurels, but I do think there's no reason to panic just yet. We need to keep pushing forward, and we'll get something together, and let's hope OVRDC gets a plentiful amount of this money. That's what I'm pushing for. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Talk to y'all
Thanks,
later.
guys. Appreciate it.